and we got a little bit of change here in our top 5 rankings, starting off with the number 1 guy, and he's not on this list. He's actually going to be the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver number 1, and that is going to be CeeDee Lamb. I think that he really had a sensational year last year, really saw it. I mean, ever since that the Cowboys got rid of Amari Cooper, it's been the CeeDee Lamb show there in this Dallas offense. And then you look at the running back position, you don't have Tony Pollard there. You pretty much have a lot of question marks to that running spot, whether it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott, is it going to be Rico Dowdle. So there's a lot of question marks there. And you're really looking at the wide receivers. There's really not many threats to them. You know, you got Brandon Cooks. You have Jake Ferguson as the tight end position. So really liking CeeDee Lamb at this number 1 spot. Looking at his ADP, as we saw in last week's show, Christian McCaffrey went number 1. Right behind him is CeeDee Lamb. So if you're looking to go heavy wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb in pretty much any mock draft that I've really seen so far has gotten CeeDee Lamb being the first wide receiver off the board. So you look at his 2024 projected points, I think that's right around the category that he's going to land this season. I could see, 1,500 yards for him, maybe even more. It really just depends on how Dak Prescott does. I think that Dak Prescott took it to another level last season. I expect him to do the same this season as well with the Dallas Cowboys offense. And then 9.3 receiving touchdowns. That's really good, especially for a guy that you're taking in the first round. So I think that if you're looking for target share, that's what I always talk about, wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb is definitely the wide receiver take for you. I think that he's going to have a really outstanding season. And he was a top 5 wide receiver last season. I think that he's only going to get better this season. So let's go on now to wide receiver number 2. Oh, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yes. Does Dak's, inconsistencies raise any question there? I'm shocked to see CeeDee Lamb as your number 1 guy.
No inconsistencies at all.
It's the Cowboys. You never know what you're going to get from them. Isn't he entering his contract year, or what's
he might be holding out?
Yeah, that's the only concern. You think
I think he'll come back.
Okay.
I mean, he's going to come back. I mean, the Cowboys, they'd be stupid to not pay him. I mean, if they let another good wide receiver go, I mean, they let Amari Cooper go, and he was one of their best wide receivers. So, I mean, you really have a question mark. I think that my big question mark with this offense is can they run the ball effectively? I know that they have one of the better offensive lines in the country, but you saw last season, most of the offensive line, they were dealing with injuries, and they had to throw the ball a lot. So I think that this Dallas Cowboys offense, I think that they're going to look for the pass plays more or less than the running plays this season. So you got to switch it up. You can't just go with Justin Jefferson every year being your number 1 guy. I just think that something tells me that CeeDee Lamb is going to be the number 1 guy once this season is over. But it was very close as I had Tyreek Hill going to be the number 2 guy. Whether you have CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill be your wide receiver number 1, I think that you can make a case for both guys. I think that Tyreek Hill there sits number 3 at the ADP. So if you miss with CeeDee Lamb, if you get Tyreek Hill, you should feel very confident in that pick as well. I think that they're really neck and neck. It's 1A and 1B in my case. Looking at the projected points, it's a little bit less than CeeDee Lamb. But, there's more, Dolphins to feed in this case. You got Jalen Waddle. I think that Jalen Waddle, he's probably going to be a top 15 guy. Then you're looking at the running backs. I mean, it's going to be a running back committee. It's probably going to be led by Devon A-Chain. He's receiving back, so Tua's going to be looking for him as well. You got Raheem Mostert, probably going to be your running back number 2 in that Miami Dolphins offense. So as long as Tua can stay healthy, I think that Tyreek Hill can really reach his potential. I think that he can definitely eclipse that 9.3 touchdowns. I could really see him get to double digits. And to project him under 1,500 receiving yards, I think that he could eclipse that as well. So I would not even hesitate picking Tyreek Hill in the top 5, not nonetheless in the top 3. I think that's pretty much going to be your top 3. It's going to be CMC, CeeDee Lamb, and Tyreek Hill. Those are going to be your top 3 guys going off the board. And let's get a little bit interesting here. I'm going to go with the Lions wide receiver number 1. That's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Receiver superstar.
If you listen to the show last year, I was very high on Amon-Ra heading into the season. If you got him, you loved the way that he did. And, I think that he has some fuel to the fire. Once again, I'm going to be using receiver as a little bit of a source. You saw him get snubbed as a Pro Bowl selection last year, and then you saw how the Lions season ended. I just think that the mantra of the Lions is this is going to be an absolute revenge tour. I just think that this Lions offense is going to work wonders, especially the way that Jared Goff played last season. And looking at the ADP, there is a little bit of gap between Tyreek Hill and the number one wide receiver that I have on this list, CeeDee Lamb. But I honestly wouldn't look at the ADP. I would take him as early as 4. That's how confident I am of Amon-Ra this season. Coming off of a phenomenal season now, you're concerned, can he do it again? I think he can do so as well. I think that this Lions offense, it's pretty much the same offense. They really didn't get anybody. They didn't trade for anyone, and this offensive line is going to continue to prove. So go with the guy that you trusted last year and run it back with him again. So I would go with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first round. Maybe if he slips to the second round, I mean, shoot, you're going to be jumping for joy, but just draft him. Trust me, get Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to love his production in this Lions offense. Let's go on now to wide receiver number 4. It's going to be one of 2 LSU boys on the list. It's going to be Jamar Chase. He's back in the top 5. I mean, if you don't have Jamar Chase in the top 5, I just don't know what you're thinking. He's still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You're just hoping that Joe Burrow and this offense can stay healthy. The offensive line still has concern for me. How is this offense going to effectively run the ball? You don't have Joe Mixon anymore. And you have a guy like T. Higgins that, they brought him back on a franchise tag, but maybe in the midseason, maybe they go away from him? Do they trade him? So you just don't know. There's definitely a lot of question marks surrounding him. So I think that Joe Burrow, his favorite target since college has been Jamar Chase. You just got to trust that. The ADP is number 5. So I think that the experts are saying that Jamar Chase is going to be a little bit better than Amon-Ra St. Brown this season. But I just think that this offense, I just have some question marks with them compared to the Lions offense, especially with the help of Joe Burrow. You just don't know how he's going to do for the full entire season. Now rounding out the list, go ahead.
He was cleared for full go today, just to add that in. Joe Burrow was. So
if he's full clear, then full clear to take Jamar Chase in the first round of your fantasy drafts. Feel confident in that. And the guy that fell from the number 1 spot to all the way down to number 5 is going to be Justin Jefferson. Has nothing to do with him. It has, there's him doing the gritty. You're going to be seeing a lot of gritties in the end zone, maybe not. I think that my main concern is the quarterback spot. Is it going to be Sam Darnold? Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? And I don't really like both of them. I just don't think they have that high of a ceiling that Kirk Cousins brought to this offense. So I just think that this offense, they have a lot of weapons. You got Justin Jefferson. You got Jordan Addison. You have T.J. Hawkinson.
Well,
so
Jordan Addison
might be in jail.
Might not happen this year.
He's going to be playing week 1. But yeah, I just think that Justin Jefferson, if that's really the only concern for me. If you don't care about the quarterback, then bump him all the way to number 3, number 4 wide receiver. So I just had to bump him down just because of the quarterback concerns, because I don't like either Darnold or McCarthy. But he's still going to deliver you production week in and week out as long as he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can have a full Justin Jefferson fully healthy season